show with two L's, and I'm one half of Forcify Entertainment. Today I'm here to give you my coverage, my review on Leslie Headland's The Acolyte. Yes, we are on episode 6. We are almost finished with this horrible show. Guys, I keep, as it goes on, they're still abusing stuff. Don't get me wrong. But it gets harder and harder to watch. It's just like, good gosh, this is terrible. There really is, and that's not hyperbole. There's really nothing else that can be said about this show than it's awful. It is truly some of, not just Star Wars, it's some of the worst television I've ever sat down and watched. Again, I don't even say it's glorified CW. I feel like that CW's actually had some shows that were entertaining. I don't know what The Acolyte is. I can give you this little glimpse though. We're going to get into that in just a second. We've got a guy getting naked in Star Wars now. But let me go ahead and give you guys my quick kind of overview for episode 6. Why do I say this show sucks? This show has the problem of they knew where they wanted the show to end, but they didn't know how to write to get there. This is the 3rd episode in a row where things happen, but yet nothing really feels like it happens. Like nothing feels like it's actually happening. It's kind of just everything. The last 3 episodes, in my opinion, has pretty much just been stuff happening, filler type stuff to lead to where they want to go. Of what the Jedi did, these two twins coming together, the power of 2, the power of many. That's kind of where we're going. And basically all these episodes are just nothing happening to get to the finale. I feel like Star Wars had this problem actually in the Book of Boba Fett. I feel like they knew where they wanted the Book of Boba Fett to end. They had no clue how to write a good show of how to get there. And that's what this feels like to me in The Acolyte. They know where they want to go. They don't really know how to get there. It's just this episode was utterly boring. There were things that immediately struck me as odd for being in Star Wars. We'll get to the guy getting undressed in Star Wars here in just a minute. So basically all that happens in this episode is, of course, picking up with last week's episode. We've got May, the evil sister, who is now with Soul, who was so easily deceived. Again, I guess there's not even just natural discernment. And you've got her with him, and now you've got Osha with the Sith-like character. So that's pretty much the entirety of the episode, both kind of being worked on the other side of things. I will tell you, spoilers, I guess, technically, I don't really know how you spoil the show. It's too bad to spoil. Basically, it ends with Soul figuring out that it's actually May that is with him. And he tells her when she's like in handcuffs, I'll tell you what happened that night. So that tells me next week episode, the second to last episode of The Acolyte, is going to be another flashback episode. We're finally going to see what the Jedi did that was so evil and so horrible. Again, those horrible Jedi. That's what we're going to get next week. So it ends with Soul having May. I'll tell you exactly what happened. And then you've also have, on the other side of things, you've got Osha, who is now all this, who we've been shown is supposed to be this pure-hearted, good-hearted girl. And it feels like so easily she's just like forgetting everything that she knows and is beginning to be at least mesmerized by this Sith-like character. And I'll tell you why I have a problem with that. You go back to the prequels. One, it was Darth Sidious. He was a pretty dang powerful Sith. But it took years. He met Anakin when Anakin was 9 years old. It took well over a decade of building trust and kind of planting seeds that tear things down in his mind for him to get Anakin to turn. And obviously, Osha's not going to turn when it's all said and done. It's a Disney Star Wars show. We know how this is going to go. The two are going to come together and they're going to defeat the Sith-like character. That's where the show's going. But this episode is really making you think, Osha is beginning to question everything that the Jedi have told her, and she might turn. So that's this episode. That's it. That really this entire episode was just working towards that end of a cliffhanger for next week. That was it. There was really nothing else to do. They are trying to establish maybe a softening with May. and a hardening with Osha going towards the dark side. So I mean, I guess that's what they were supposed to do in this episode. But it just like here's at the end of the day, when you don't care about the characters, you don't really care about anything. It just doesn't matter to you, and that's where I am. I don't care about these characters. They're not interesting in the slightest to me, and so I don't care. So let's get into some of the things because each Acolyte episode gives you something that's entertaining in its own right because you're like, what the heck is this? It's definitely not Star Wars. And let me show you what we got this week. So we got a Sith dude. He's trying to convince they go to a planet that they say is unknown, but it looks exactly like Octu. It looks exactly like the same planet that Luke, we got the unforgettable scarred into our memory image of Luke milking that creature and getting out that green milk that he then drank. And we all are scarred to this day from that moment. But it looks like they're on Octu, but we don't know. It just says unknown planet. That's what they gave us for this. But anyways, on this unknown planet, we randomly get this scene. I was watching this and it was like, what the heck am I watching? So let me show you. This is the Sith-like character. He knows a female is behind him in Osha. And this is what we get in Star Wars, which, by the way, anytime we have criticism, valid criticism, people will chime in and say, well, Star Wars is for 10-year-olds. Okay, well, this is what Disney's making for 10-year-olds. Have her watching, fully stripping down. Obviously, it doesn't technically show anything, but it's still implied here. That's what we got. And it will get worse within this episode. I mean, when he's in the water, he tells Osha, like, do you want to join me? I will say, though, I have said that this guy, you look at him and you're like, man, that guy needs to take a bath because he looks like he smells. So at least he got clean. He got clean. I will give him that. He no longer needs to bathe. He bathed. But I mean, I really was kind of blown away by this scene. Just like it was so unnecessary and it felt so, here's my big thing. It felt so out of place in Star Wars. Like to kind of have this kind of sexual moment where he strips his clothes. And again, they don't show anything, but why put the scene in there if it's for 10-year-olds? It just, and even if it's not, it doesn't fit Star Wars. You don't imagine Han Solo stripping in front of Leia in the original trilogy. You don't imagine Anakin doing that in front of Padme. Even once they were married, George Lucas wouldn't have showed that. You just don't, who does this? It just doesn't fit Star Wars. So you've got that scene and how ridiculous that one is. But let me pull up another scene. Let me pull up another great moment that we got from the Acolyte. Let me get this ready for you guys. Here we go. Here's another great moment. So in this episode, Leslie Headland's wife, who, if there has ever been a case of nepotism gone wrong, I feel like we got it right here. It's rough to watch. It really is. So here is Leslie Headland's wife. She is now searching for Soul and for the others. And we get this wonderful moment in the Acolyte. So here you go. This is something that happened. We got the lasso lightsaber because that's a thing now. Yeah, that's a thing. Guys, this show is it really is truly it's laughable. Like this show is laughable. If it's not boring me to tears, which the last couple episodes have, you then at least get these moments that are entertaining because you're laughing at it. But this show, it's just a joke. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. I feel like I say this every single week, and there's never a week that makes me go back on what I said. This is just an incredibly poorly written show. The people making the show do not understand Star Wars in the slightest, like at all. They do not understand Star Wars. And the show looks terrible for the most part. Yes, there's a few scenes that look pretty, but even like the scenes that look good, visually, like when the scene I showed you where the guy is getting in the water, like, yeah, that's a pretty shot that they got of the water and the planet they're on, but it doesn't feel Star Warsy. Like, because the moment he starts taking off his clothes, and you're just like, what is this? So this show, again, that's kind of my review of this week, episode 6. If you think, well, that's not much of a review, there's not much to tell you about. Nothing happens in these episodes. They're all 30 minutes long or less. And it's just like things happen without anything actually happening. That's all I can say about that. But again, all this episode was to set up May's softening of heart, Osha's hardening of heart, and the next week's episode. That's what it was there for. So that's my review, my thoughts on The Acolyte, Leslie Headland's The Acolyte, episode 6. We've got 2 more, guys. Again, next week is clearly going to be a flashback, and we'll see what those evil Jedi were up to back then. And then we'll get the finale, where we all know what's going to happen in the finale. The 2 will come together, and we'll get the power of 2, yada, yada, yada. And then this horrible fiasco that is The Acolyte will be over. But I will keep going. I've come this far. We're just going to see this to the end, guys. We're going to laugh along the way and just see how much worse it can get. It can't get much worse. It really can't. This show's terrible. But what do you guys think of The Acolyte? What did you think of this week's episode? Are you watching? Or are you just watching reviews? I definitely understand the latter. But share your thoughts below. And if you have not yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Also, give this video a thumbs up. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, remember to be a force of light. All right, bye, guys.